We used to own the sky. For 40 years, if you flew a fighter jet in the Pacific, an American radar plane saw you first. It was the ultimate guarantee. But in June 2025, that guarantee expired. While Washington was distracted by budgets and bureaucracy, the Pentagon quietly canceled the E-7 Wedgetail, the only aircraft capable of replacing our rotting radar fleet. At the exact same moment, 6,000 miles away in Xi'an, China rolled out this, the KJ-3000. It's not just a new plane. It's a massive flying server room designed to hunt stealth fighters. And right now, it has no American rival. We have officially entered the blind window, a 5-year gap where the Chinese Navy can see the battlefield in 4K resolution, and the US Navy is squinting through a cracked lens. Today on JetCore, we're asking the question nobody in the Pentagon wants to answer. Did we just surrender the information war without firing a shot? To understand why this ugly, humpbacked cargo plane is scarier than a J-20 stealth fighter, you have to understand the slow, painful death of the American eye in the sky. For 40 years, the backbone of Western air dominance wasn't a fighter jet. It was the E-3 Sentry. You know the silhouette, the modified Boeing 707 with the giant rotating frisbee on top. Since the Cold War, the Sentry has been the quarterback. It tells the F-15S where to fly. It tells the carriers where the missiles are coming from. It is the central nervous system of the US military. But today, the Sentry is on life support. These airframes were built in the 1970s. We are asking pilots to fly into combat in jets that are older than their parents. The metal is fatigued. The avionics are based on computer architecture that belongs in a museum. The radar itself, the AN/APY-1, is a mechanical dinosaur. It physically spins. In the age of digital, instant scan AESA radars, a spinning dish is like trying to load a web page on dial-up internet while your enemy has fiber optic. By 2024, the situation was critical. Maintenance crews were stripping parts off museum displays just to keep the operational fleet flying. Availability rates plummeted below 55%. That means on any given day, if a war started, half our radar fleet couldn't take off. The Pentagon knew this. They saw the cliff coming. The solution was supposed to be the E-7 Wedgetail. This wasn't a paper plane. It wasn't a PowerPoint concept. The E-7 is real. It's built on the Boeing 737 airframe, tough, reliable, and easy to fix. It carries the MESA radar, a fixed electronic eye that can stare at multiple targets simultaneously without needing to spin. It can track 180 targets at once while simultaneously jamming enemy communications. Australia flies it and loves it. The UK bought it. NATO signed up for it. It was the unanimous choice of the free world. The US Air Force had a plan to buy a fleet of them to bridge the gap until the 2030s. And then, in June 2025, the Pentagon pulled the plug. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called it too expensive and not future-proof. He argued that in a war with China, a big, slow radar plane is just a target. Why buy a $2 billion jet that a Chinese missile can shoot down in 10 minutes? It's a valid question, on paper. But in practice, canceling the E-7 was a strategic amputation. It signaled to our allies that the US is walking away from the atmospheric radar game. We decided to stop buying the only working flashlight we had because we were promised night vision goggles that haven't been invented yet. While Washington was arguing about budgets, Beijing was bending metal. The KJ-3000 is China's answer to the E-3's obsolescence. And unlike previous Chinese efforts, this isn't a Frankenstein monster. For decades, China was forced to stick radars on whatever planes they could get. The KJ-3000 was a radar bolted onto a Russian IL-76 transport. It worked, but it was a nightmare to maintain. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the supply of IL-76 parts dried up. China realized they couldn't rely on Moscow anymore. They had to go domestic. Enter the Y-20B. This is the airframe the KJ-3000 is built on. It's China's homegrown heavy lifter, nicknamed the Chubby Girl for its wide fuselage. It's roughly the size of a US C-17 Globemaster. But don't let the cute nickname fool you. This airframe solves China's biggest strategic problem, sovereignty. They can build as many of these as they want. They don't need permission from Russia. But the real terror is the physics of the radar itself. The KJ-3000 ditches the rotating frisbee dome. Instead, it uses a massive, fixed, two-sided active electronically scanned array, AESA. Here is why that matters. Aperture size. In the world of radar, size is everything. To detect a stealth fighter like the F-22 or F-35, you need power and gain. Stealth coatings are designed to absorb or deflect high-frequency waves, like X-band, but they are less effective against lower frequency, longer wavelength radar. To generate those long waves effectively and to focus them into a beam tight enough to get a weapons-grade lock, you need a massive antenna. You can't fit that on a fighter jet. You can't fit it on a drone. You need a flying billboard. The radar panels on the KJ-3000 appear to be significantly larger than anything on the E-3 or E-7. We're talking about a side-looking array that might be 40 feet long. When you pump megawatts of energy through an array that big, you aren't just pinging the sky. You are flooding it with electromagnetic energy. Analysts estimate that this system could potentially detect low observable targets. That's us, from ranges exceeding 400 kilometers. That is the magic number. If they can see the F-35 at 400 kilometers, they can vector in J-20 interceptors before our jets are even within missile range. It turns the first look, first shot advantage on its head. But a giant radar is useless if you can't plug it in. This brings us to the most overlooked upgrade on the KJ-3000, the engines. Previous Chinese jets used the Russian D-30 engine. It was loud, smoky, and inefficient. But its biggest flaw was power generation. AESA radars are electricity vampires. They suck massive amounts of juice from the aircraft's generators. The old Russian engines struggled to keep the lights on. The KJ-3000 is flying with 4 Shenyang WS-20 high bypass turbofans. These are modern, high-efficiency engines. They provide two things: range and power. First, range. The WS-20 burns less fuel, which means the KJ-3000 can loiter over the Pacific for hours longer than its predecessors. In a blockade scenario, time on station is critical. You need to keep the eye open 24/7. Second, and more importantly, power. The WS-20s are designed with massive electrical generation capacity. This allows the KJ-3000 to run its radar at full burn, maximum power output, for extended periods without overheating or tripping the breakers. It also powers the massive cooling systems required to keep those AESA chips from melting. This is the synergy that scares defense planners. A sovereign airframe, a massive aperture, and the electrical backbone to run it at 100%. So, China has a big flying flashlight. Why does that lose us the war? Because the KJ-3000 isn't just looking for planes. It is the router for the kill web. In the 20th century, we fought with kill chains. Radar finds target, pilot locks. Target, pilot fires missile. It was a linear process. Break one link, and the chain fails. The 21st century is about the kill web. The KJ-3000 is designed to use a tactic called bistatic, or multi-static engagement. Here is the nightmare scenario. An American F-35 is flying towards Taiwan. It is stealthy. Its nose is pointed at the enemy, presenting its smallest radar profile. The KJ-3000 is orbiting 500 miles away, blasting the airspace with massive waves of radar energy. The F-35 deflects those waves away from the KJ-3000. That's how stealth works. However, those deflected waves have to go somewhere. They bounce off the F-35 and scatter sideways. Waiting silently in the dark, 100 miles away, is a Chinese J-20 stealth fighter. Its radar is turned off. It is listening. It picks up the scattered reflections of the KJ-3000's energy bouncing off the American jet. The J-20 effectively uses the KJ-3000 as a flashlight. It gets a lock without ever emitting a signal itself. It fires a PL-15 long-range missile. The American pilot never gets a radar warning receiver ping because the launch platform was silent. The first warning they get is the missile motor igniting in the terminal phase. This is the danger of the kill web. The KJ-3000 allows every other Chinese asset, ships, ground batteries, silent fighters, to shoot at targets they can't even see themselves. It centralizes the seeing so the shooters can stay hidden. Now, if you're terrified, take a breath. Because there is a massive but coming. We have talked about the physics. Now we have to talk about the culture. Because you can design the perfect weapon on a computer, but human beings have to build it. And the humans building the KJ-3000 are in deep trouble. The Aviation Industry Corporation of China, AEW&C, is the monopoly that builds almost everything for the PLA Air Force. And in 2025, it imploded. The scandal surrounding Tan Rusong, the former chairman, wasn't just about skimming a little off the top. It revealed a systemic rot. Prosecutors allege that AVIC executives were living off the military, creating fake supply chains, inflating costs, and using classified programs to manipulate the stock market. When you have that level of corruption, it bleeds into the hardware. We know that China has struggled with single crystal turbine blades for their engines. These blades need to be perfect, grown from a single crystal of alloy to withstand 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. If you have a corrupt supply manager who buys lower grade alloy to pocket the difference, that blade explodes 500 hours later. The KJ-3000 is a system of systems. It has thousands of points of failure. The cooling pumps for the radar, the hydraulics for the flight surfaces, the microchips in the signal processors. If the corruption purge has paralyzed the middle management of AVIC, which reports suggest it has, then Prototype 7821 might be a Potemkin village plane. It might fly for the cameras, but does the radar actually fuse data correctly? Do the engines burn out after 50 hours? Can they manufacture spare parts, or was the factory budget stolen? A paralyzed industrial base produces hangar queens, jets that look scary on the tarmac, but break down the moment you push them into high-tempo operations. China might have the design, but they might not have the discipline to keep it in the air. This brings us back to the American bet. Why did we cancel the E-7? The Pentagon is betting on space-based moving target indication, GMTI/AMTI, the classified program, often referred to in rumors as Golden Dome or similar code names, aims to put the radar in orbit. The logic is seductive. Satellites are legally untouchable, mostly. They can look down on enemy territory without entering airspace. They are always there. You don't need to refuel a satellite, but relying only on space creates a single point of failure. Orbital mechanics are predictable. The Chinese know exactly when a spy satellite will be overhead. They can schedule their movements for the gaps. More dangerously, satellites are vulnerable to soft-kill weapons. You don't need to blow up a satellite to blind it. You just need a high-powered ground laser, which China has, or a localized jammer. If you dazzle the sensor, the US goes blind. And let's not forget ASATs, anti-satellite weapons. China and Russia have proven capability to launch missiles into low Earth orbit and shatter satellites. If a shooting war starts, the first thing that happens is Kessler syndrome. They blow up our eyes in space. If the satellites go dark and we have no E-7s and the E-3s are broken, what do we have left? Nothing. We are fighting with 1990s situational awareness against a 2030 enemy. This is the blind window. Between 2025, when the E-7 was killed, and 2032, when the space network might be fully operational, there is a gap, a valley of death. In this window, the E-3 fleet will continue to rot. Pilots are already terrified of flying them. The radar reliability will hit zero. Simultaneously, in this window, China will be rolling KJ-3000s off the assembly line. Even if they are flawed, even if the engines are tricky, they will have something. They will have a flying, high-power, bistatic radar network in the atmosphere. Defense Secretary Hegseth is betting that war won't happen in this window. He is betting that we can fast-track the satellites before Xi Jinping makes a move on Taiwan. It is a gamble of historic proportions. If he is wrong, American pilots will fly into the Taiwan Strait facing a coordinated stealth-piercing detection network, while relying on intermittent data from space and a few broken-down 707s. This is the uncomfortable reality of the next 5 years. The KJ-3000 proves that China is willing to build good enough hardware right now, while the US waits for perfect technology in the future. In a spreadsheet, the US strategy of space-based radar wins. But wars aren't fought in spreadsheets. They are fought in the mud, and the rain, and the chaos. The KJ-3000 is a tangible flying asset that gives the PLA a redundant, resilient eye in the sky. We threw away our map because we were promised a GPS that hasn't been built yet. The giant might be blind in one eye due to corruption, but right now, he's the only one looking. This is Jet Core. Stay sharp.